Okay, so today we're diving into something that's, well, it's tough, but it's so important. We're talking about how to spot the warning signs of a narcissistic partner. And look, this isn't about slapping labels on people. Not at all. It's about empowering you to see patterns, Patterns that can take a relationship and turn it into something really, really damaging. So let's get into it and start connecting some of those dots.
So you see this number 1%, and you probably think, oh, that's super rare. And you're right, officially, a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, that's NPD, only affects about 1% of people. But here's the kicker, and this is what's so crucial to understand. The traits, they're way, way more common. These behaviors can pop up in a lot more people and create some seriously toxic situations, even if there's no official diagnosis in sight.
All right, let's just ask the question straight up. Does your relationship feel like a toxic nightmare? If you've ever just felt completely drained, confused, or like you're constantly walking on eggshells with your partner, then you're in the right place. Our whole goal here is to cut through that fog and bring a little clarity to what you might be feeling. It's really about that shift from what is happening to, oh, I understand now.
Okay, before we jump into the specific signs, we need to get on the same page about what we're actually talking about. So here's the textbook definition of NPD. It really boils down to three big things: a massively inflated sense of self-importance, a bottomless pit of a need for admiration, and a real lack of empathy. And I want to be super clear. This is so much more than just being confident or having a big ego. We're talking about a deep-seated pattern that takes over everything, and it absolutely shapes the entire dynamic of the relationship.
Every story's got to have a beginning, right? And with a narcissist, that beginning, it's often a full-blown fairy tale. We call this the seduction phase. It's that time when everything feels just perfect, almost too perfect. And you know what? That feeling, that little voice saying, "This is too good to be true," that's actually your first clue.
And that brings us to the very first warning sign. It's a term you might have heard: love bombing. And let me tell you, this is not your average honeymoon phase. This is a full-on, overwhelming tidal wave of affection. We're talking constant texts, over-the-top gifts, hearing "I love you" way, way too fast. It's intense and it's immediate. So how do you tell the difference? This is the key. Real, genuine affection, that's a slow burn, right? It builds over time, it's mutual. But love bombing, that's a wildfire. It's not genuine, it's a tactic. It's all about making you feel like the most special person on earth, getting you hooked and emotionally dependent on them, fast, before you even have a moment to really see who they are behind the mask.
But after that incredible whirlwind beginning, things start to shift. This is what we call the confusion phase. The perfect facade starts to get little cracks in it. You start noticing things, small behaviors that just feel off. They don't add up. And this is the point where you might start feeling like you're the crazy one, asking yourself, wait, is it me?
All right, sign number 2, a grandiose sense of self-importance. This is where that massive ego really takes center stage. I mean, it's not just that they think they're good at a few things. No, they genuinely believe they are better than everyone. They'll blow their achievements way out of proportion and expect you to treat them like they're royalty. And you know what that means? There's just no space left for your accomplishments.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? This is what that grandiosity looks like in everyday life. It's this deep, deep sense of entitlement. It's the belief that the rules, the ones for the rest of us, they just don't apply. Why? Because in their world, they are special. They are above it all.
Okay, sign number 3. Think of a narcissist's ego like a bucket with a hole in it. It's constantly leaking, so it needs to be refilled all the time with praise and admiration. They're always fishing for compliments. And if you don't give them that validation, they get genuinely angry. Your job essentially becomes being their personal round-the-clock cheerleader, just there to tell them how great they are. Now we get to one of the most defining and honestly one of the most painful traits: a total lack of empathy. It's this chilling inability to understand or even care about how you're feeling. It's like your entire emotional world is just invisible to them. Unless, of course, your feelings somehow inconvenience them. And the result? You can feel so lonely, even when you're right next to them. This right here, this quote is a perfect example of what that looks like. You come home, you try to share something vulnerable, like having a bad day, and what do you get back? Well, my day was worse. Just like that, the conversation isn't about you anymore. Your attempt to connect gets shut down and turned into a weird competition. They're not there to comfort you, they're there to one-up you. That emotional disconnect, it's a huge flashing red flag. Okay, let's brace ourselves for the next phase, because this is where things get really dark and destructive. This is the devaluation phase. Remember how they built you up on a pedestal? Well, now they start to tear you down. The love bombing disappears, and in its place, you get a tangled web of manipulation and control, all of it designed to just chip away at who you are.
This brings us to sign number 5, exploitation and manipulation. Let's be really clear here. Narcissists often don't see people as partners. They see them as tools, as objects to get what they want. So the relationship isn't a partnership, it's a transaction. And they will use any tactic in the book to stay in control and get their own needs met, even if it completely destroys you in the process. And they have a whole toolkit to do it. These aren't just random bad moods. These are specific, targeted strategies to keep you under their thumb. Things like guilt tripping, where suddenly their bad day is your fault. Lying, of course. Withholding affection as a form of punishment, but the one we really need to talk about, the most twisted one of all, is gaslighting.
Hear this phrase, "You're just being too sensitive," or "I never said that." That is textbook gaslighting. It is a poison. It's designed specifically to make you doubt what you saw, what you heard, to question your own sanity. And by constantly twisting your reality, they grab all the control, and you end up feeling like you can't even trust your own mind anymore. Okay, another huge red flag is isolation. A manipulator's best friend is isolation. They need to cut you off from your support system, your friends, your family, so they'll start small. They'll criticize your best friend, say your mom is controlling, or just create a huge fight every time you want to see them. Why? Because if they're the only person in your world, it is so much harder for you to see the truth and so much harder to leave.
Remember the love bombing when you were perfect and could do no wrong? Well, this is the complete 180. Now, suddenly, nothing you do is right. The same person who adored you now criticizes everything. What you wear, how you talk, your dreams. And let's be clear, this isn't helpful feedback. It is a slow, steady, deliberate attack designed to crush your self-esteem. And here's the great irony. For all their talk about how amazing they are, narcissists have the most fragile egos on the planet. I mean, tissue paper thin. Any tiny bit of criticism, even if you say it as gently as possible, can set off a volcano of rage. Or they'll just ice you out with the silent treatment for days. They simply cannot handle being wrong because it threatens that perfect image they've built for themselves.
Okay, I know that was a lot, and hearing all this can be really, really heavy. But just recognizing these signs, that is a huge first step. That's where the power starts to shift back to you. So now let's move from just pointing out the problems to talking about what you can do about it. Let's talk about empowerment.
And let's not downplay the damage. The impact of this kind of emotional abuse is serious. We're talking about real clinical anxiety, depression, even PTSD, and of course, a total loss of your sense of self-worth. If any of this sounds familiar, I need you to hear this. What you are feeling is a completely normal and valid reaction to a crazy-making situation. It's not you. So, what are the next steps? What can you actually do? Well, here's a game plan. 1. Start writing things down. Documenting the patterns makes them undeniable. 2. Seek professional help. A therapist who gets narcissistic abuse is worth their weight in gold. 3. Start setting boundaries, even small ones. This is how you start taking your power back. And 4, if you need to, create a safe exit plan. Getting out might be the most important act of self-love you can do. Look, if you take away only one single thing from all of this, let it be this. You are not alone. And this is not your fault. I'm going to say that again. It is not your fault. The entire system of emotional abuse is designed to make you believe you're the problem. You aren't. The responsibility for the abuse always lies with the abuser.
So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Let's shift our focus away from all the toxicity for a second and look ahead. Ask yourself, what does a healthy relationship actually feel like? What does safety feel like? What does it feel like to be respected, to be supported? Just taking a moment to imagine that. That's the first real step toward making it your reality. A reality where you don't just survive, you thrive.